Now, on youth and business, we focus on plastic waste management. Noah Kipkemboi speaks to young entrepreneurs taking advantage of emerging opportunities in recycling.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are in Kahawaskare, and as you can see, I'm seated on a plastic chair. We have a big problem with plastic in the country and the world all over. Majority of us use it. It's not biodegradable. It stays there for more than 250 years. So how do we solve this issue? Well, there is an innovation that's going to change the world, and it's behind these closed doors. So just come with me. You see, this plant right here, and you can guess from the ambience and the voicing of it, what they're doing, they're taking plastic and converting it into its original component, and that is petroleum. Let's take a look at it, shall we? The setup is simple, but the purpose is more noble.
Our company is called Pyro Degrade Energy. Pyro because what we do is we convert plastic into energy through a process called pyrolysis.
So initially, we start by obtaining plastic from like dump sites or whatnot. So this is ideally waste plastic we can find on dump site. It's actually shredded. So it's mostly comprised of low-density polyethylene, high-density polyethylene, and polypropylene. That then we then clean it, and then after we clean it, we then load it onto a steel reactor. We load it, then we press it down, then we actually now ready to run the process. So after loading it up, this is our rubber gasket, and then we have our steel lid. We close it up. After that, we then load it up to our heater, and then we'll connect all necessary routings. So once we load the plastic inside the reactor, we then vent the reactor. So by venting, we're actually sucking as much air as we can from the reactor. So it's actually partially vacuum. By sucking the air from the reactor, we are minimizing the amount of oxygen that is inside the reactor, so that the plastic doesn't combust, it breaks down. So that's pyrolysis in a nutshell. Pyrolyzing plastic, we're not burning plastic, we're actually breaking it down, so there actually is no emissions in terms of carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide.
The broken down plastic, now in gas state, is directed to a coolant.
So once it comes from the reactor, it enters into a condenser that is in here. It's a water-cooled condenser. Inside the water-cooled condenser, the vapor that is from the reactor is cooled down to roughly 40 degrees Celsius. At that point, it's fluid enough. So once it's in that state, we just open it up into the storage vessel. So the gas itself is part oil and it's also part synthesis gas. So there's a gas and there's an oil as well. So the gas itself, we bubble it into the water system so as to clean it up. The gas is mostly carbon monoxide and hydrogen. So once we bubble it through the water, it turns into CO2 and hydrogen. So it's quite safe.
The oil part turns into a brown liquid. The liquid is further distilled, and the final product is diesel.
Our biodiesel is cleaner and has less CO2 emissions because of the process that we take it through. We distill it once we distill it around 3 times to make it cleaner.
To run the project, these young innovators had to secure funding.
And from the funding from UNDP, we were able to build our first prototype. And that enabled us to pitch the idea again to Kenya, the Kenya Innovation Agency, and they gave us a second grant, which now enabled us to now buy the machines that can process this commercially. So to build, to really commercialize fully, we are looking at around 25 million. Really, that could be enough to build the plant and actually get the licenses that we need and start operations.
Coming into a very competitive market, Dawson believes they have their niche.
The market is quite, the market is big, and I believe the market can accommodate all of us. Our target market, per se, at the moment is we want to focus on farmers who use diesel engines to do irrigation. And the plastic is available in abundance. There's a lot of plastic, and the good thing is we are helping. We'll provide a lot of jobs for people who can supply us plastic, because actually we'll be buying plastic from youth groups. We are already in talks with several youth groups in Kariobangi.
The vision is even bigger.
Ideally, what we want to move into maybe 10-20 years is to the same plant, to now use the same plant to power up, to produce electricity. Because with the gas that we're producing and the fuel, we can use it to run turbines to generate electricity. That's the end game in the long run.
For now, this innovation is said to change plastic waste management, turning plastic to diesel or waste to energy. Noah Kipkemboi, KTN News.
Great report there, Noah. I'm impressed. I mean, we should encourage more of that. Let's cross borders now. Britain has today become the first country in the world to approve the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine for use and said that it will be rolled out next week. Pfizer said Britain's emergency use authorization